Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to Mongo TV. I'm Danish YouTuber John Olsen. And this is the second day after Christmas. I got up very late again today. I don't know when. Must be 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Not long time ago, less 2 hours ago. And it's 4 p.m. very soon. I got a shower and a shaving, so I feel better now, of course. And I just made a Danish vlog video. Yes, I'm uploading this Danish vlog. I said have a good second Christmas day. It's online in 15 minutes. Then I'm uploading part 176. This is part 205, so I'm still 2 days behind my upload, and now I'm recording more, so I'm still 2-3 days behind my upload. Yes, I need to do some dishwash and have just eat some, call it corn. Yes, it's like this, the wheat flakes with the milk and sugar. It's very cheap, and it tastes very good. Yes, I'm not really, but I have a lot of cola, still have a lot of cola, but I just get up my bed, so I'm not drinking cola right now. Yes, let's get started. And I will not go below this. I'll take my blankets. I'm not going back to bed. Going below here. Maybe I should change my shorts. I think I should do that. I have some long jogging trousers, but I'll not record that. I'll do that now. Yes. I have a jacket because I got some fresh air in my home. I will put it back. And I will change this Nike shorts to some jogging trousers and socks, because this is not summer, we have winter in Denmark. And I'm not going back to bed, I'll just lay below this blanket. And I will watch more of this Star Systems on the Starmap, and it's all ready to go. I just need to get myself ready. Yes, it's a bit cold on the floor, so I need to have socks and long trousers. It's not summer anymore. So 30 seconds. Just need my socks on. Yes, this is what I'm. This is my long trousers, and this is my socks. I don't know if it's the right word. I'm not English. I'm not American. I'm Danish. I live in Denmark, a little bit out north west of Copenhagen, and I don't have any English friends. I talk English in my daily life, so I'm not talking English to anyone. So I only talk English to myself and to this camcorder. Yes, and on internet, when I'm playing a game online, I of course type English. But I did finish this Christmas. I did not have a good Christmas, no, but I did what I like to do, looking on the YouTube, play games and stuff. So actually I like to do this. This is why I record this, because I like to do this. And I like the Star Citizen game, so I'm still studying. But I got to the Tyrol systems, and I have opened the star map from the Star Citizen website, and we have this big star called Tyrol or Tyrol. It's the same we have in Austria. We have an area like in Austria, in Europe, with all this mountain called Tyrol. But this star is too hot, nobody lives there. That's too hot, you cannot live on a star because that's too hot. We got the Tyrol one, probably it's too hot. Terrestrial rocket, habitat, yes, okay. This small planet's rocket surface is being burned away by the dying star. Okay, so we have to have some life here. Interesting, we should go there one day. Oh, what is that? Tyrol B. Okay, we have a twin star. We have a tiny star. Okay, I did not see that. White dwarf. We have a tiny star. I did not see that. And then the Tyrol number 2. I should not click. Yes, that's Tyrol 1, so I have clicked wrong again, I think. Yes, this is Tyrol number 2. Habitat, no. Iron planets. Based on planetary analysis, scientists speculate that this planet might have formerly been a super-Earth. So that's a hot island planet, but that's a bit strange that this planet is too hot for life. And then we have Tyrol 1 is even closer, and it have life. Not have life. It have some people living there, and it's even closer to the sun. Yes, but we will know about that when we see the video. Tyrol number 3 is Corliss planet, habitale, no. Various scientific expeditions to study the planet have led to a debate whether this Corliss world was destroyed by the star's evolution or never completely formed. And do we have a green band? Oh yes, we have, but that's far out, so this sun is very hot. We have a we have asteroid belts, and then we have the Tyrol number 4 is I cannot read that. Crotonian planets, classified as a Crotonian planet. It is a former gas giant that lost its atmosphere. The remaining of dense planet called a source of gemstones. So that could be gemstones, but we cannot. How you get down to the core? Then we have another asteroid belts, and then we have oh, that's the same, but then we have the green bands. We got 2 planets in the green bands. So actually this is a big star system. I have to scroll back. What with Tyrol 5 is a Crotonian planet. Yes, habitat, yes. A former ice giant that has been melted down to its rocky surface, home to the system's largest settlements, Heaven, which have been built into the side of a vast canyon. Consider it a bastion for those with no place left to go. Living here is dangerous in many regards. Stepping into the sun without proper thermal shading can be deadly. Okay, that's a place we have to go in the future. So that's still a hot planet. So probably the 5, number 6. No. Gas giant, habitat, no. A typical gas giant orbiting the system's outer reaches. Useful as a refueling spot. Do we have more? Then we have the ice band. Okay, we have another one, 7. That's probably, that was not, I think that may be the same. The gas giants, I just click wrong. No, we have another one, 7, true roll 7. A protoplanet habitat, no. A protoplanet so small some scientists debate whether it's qualified as one. So the true roll star systems have 7 planets and have 1 habitat. The true roll 5 is only 1. Yes, but let's see what they are saying about that in the video. About the true roll systems. And I will go bed to bed and watch. So I actually like to see this myself. I have never seen this, but I have to see it twice. I will watch it one day more without recording, and I will watch my own videos.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of War of the Galaxy, where we highlight one of the many star systems in the Star Citizen universe, and give you some background on the system itself, as well as some insight behind some of the creative choices that we were making when we were coming up with them. I'm Dave Haddock. I'm the lead writer over here at Cloud Imperium Games, and today we are going to talk about the Tyrol system. Interestingly enough, this is actually one of my favorite systems in the game, and is actually a great example of sort of the awesome kind of creative symbiosis that can arise between the various departments in the game. I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, this is actually a really fun, kind of cool criminal system. So anyway, we are going to go to our handy star map. So right here, we're going to start on Earth. And we will show you where you can find Tyrol based on sort of its proximity to Earth. So go out. There is Sol system. And we turn on the jump points. Okay. So scrolling back. I'll go to 2 to make it a little easier. So Sol system's over here. And Tyrol is all the way over here. So you can see it's sort of on the east. I mean, we sort of use, or I use these sort of east, west, north, south things. That's not actually obviously what these are, because as you can see, once you go into 3D, that all these things are sort of a very not linear, flat, plane thing. But it's just easier when you're looking kind of straight down on it to kind of guide you. So it's over here. Kind of over by, you got some Banu system down here. Kins is probably the closest to Banu space. You got one jump through Karen down there, and a couple jumps away from Indra, which is Xi'an over here. So yeah, so actually, Tyrol system is actually was a stretch goal system from the 2012. Interesting enough. So it has been around for a while. Little background about the system. It was discovered in 2823 via this jump point from Karen's system. And the explorer who discovered it was named Damon Huerta, who was a resident of actually Karen 3. I'll kind of jump in here just to do a little fun. So here we have Karen 3. And so he was actually from here and lost his home and family during the Civil War, and the Civil War had actually resolved in a ceasefire, so it didn't technically end a few years earlier. But he was basically unwilling to leave the system that had been his family's home for generations, and it was the only one that he had known. But at the same time, he refused to go back to the planet that had basically kind of caused him so much suffering. So he basically had kind of spent a lot of his time living on the drift, spending equal time picking up odd jobs around the system and crashing at different stations and whatnot when he could afford it. And so the discovery of the jump point over to Tyrol kind of came at an opportune moment because he had actually come dangerously close to being forced to sell his ship. So it worked out well for him. But unfortunately for the system, the UEE didn't end up claiming it, but let's head in and that will actually explain why. So, as you can see right off the bat, we have a binary star system, which is super cool. This is a white dwarf, and this, more importantly, is a main sequence star that has entered this sort of subgiant phase of its evolution. So basically, the system's about to blow up in a bad way. So needless to say, the UEE was not really enthusiastic about trying to colonize a system that could blow up at any time. So they basically kind of left it alone. And actually, interesting thing too, while I'm on it, is originally, if you go back, like the original write-up for the system was actually, it was a single star system. It was just a star that had entered the sort of red giant phase. But obviously the Nova thing was still kind of a key point to it, but it was just a single star. And when we circulated a lot of these systems out to our consultants who were sort of helping us with the kind of astrophysics, offering their insight and expertise into the science of stuff, Steve and one of them basically had tackled the system, changed it to a binary. So he added this sort of white dwarf companion to it, and to quote him, basically the main sequence star has just left the main sequence and is becoming a subgiant. It's now big enough so the outer layers are being sucked up by the white dwarf for the first time, and this will lead to a smaller explosion called a nova that will be destructive enough. This was actually an interesting point. It will be destructive enough to be a cataclysmic event in the entire system, but not significantly enough to affect neighboring systems. So he also went on to explain that basically like these novas could kind of happen several times, and a white dwarf could potentially ultimately go supernova, which would be bad for basically everyone. So yeah, fun times. But anyway, that was sort of the kernel of the idea of the station. It was this idea of a system sort of on the brink of destruction that was sort of the hook into the character of the system. And it was just an interesting idea to think about that, like, even though in the sort of timeline of, cosmic and space events and stuff like that, it's obviously over hugely protracted amounts of time, of hundreds of thousands and millions of years and stuff like that. But at a certain point, they have to, there has to be that moment of it doing something, that moment of change. So, so this was just this idea of having this really fragile system that, like, any day it could disappear, basically. So, I don't know, it just seemed like it had a lot of potential to be, lead to some really interesting kind of storytelling and possibilities and characters and stuff like that. Like, who would move here, stuff like that. So, anyway, getting on to sort of the makeup of the system itself, you have got 7 planets here, and I won't go into too much detail because, I highly advise poking around in the star map itself and looking up the data and stuff like that. So I'll just kind of focus on more of the kind of the interesting ones. So, as I said earlier, while the UEE didn't necessarily claim Tyrol, it didn't mean that they weren't interested in it. The scientific community particularly was immediately entranced with this opportunity to set up research stations, data collectors, whatever, just to be able to study such a potentially massive event up close, and it just offered kind of potential breakthroughs in understanding how the universe works and stuff like that. And interestingly enough, it's sort of a counterbalance to other systems like Callus, which was the one, if you remember, is sort of in the process of forming. It's still that sort of forming the planets and all that stuff. So this is sort of the opposite, and they're equally fascinated with that. So this is the opposite end of the spectrum. So this is about the death of a system rather than the start of one. One of the closest, if you go over here to Tyrol 1, basically our first kind of habitat here is actually over on the moon called Lanisto. And it was basically set up by a research company to study, you know, the event theoretically up close. So you can see proximity-wise here. It's a pretty good seat to check things out. Unfortunately for them, it didn't blow up quick enough for them, so they kind of ran out of funding and they had to shut down the research station. So unfortunately, now it's basically a home to squatters, smugglers, refugees, and who have nicknamed the place Front Row to indicate basically the destruction of the system. So let me go back to the wide view. Okay, so that's Tyrol 1. But otherwise, the big draw here, which I cannot seem to find at the moment anywhere, is Tyrol 5, which is weirdly off-center. Over the line. Anyway, so basically, Tyrol 5 used to be an ice giant, was the thing. And but when the main sequence star entered into the subgiant phase, basically it sort of pushed out a lot of energy and heat and stuff like that. And so it basically kind of melted the planet and pushed it into its sort of, weirdly enough, it's kind of its green zone type thing. And so basically it's got the closest thing, even though the idea was originally that the life on the surface is very tricky, I think is a way to put it, but dangerous because the sun can be so overpowering. But this is where the closest thing to a settlement in the system can be found, and it's a place called Haven. Now, this is where we get back to the sort of the symbiosis I was talking about earlier, because this was the original write-up for Haven. Bring it up. Haven is built into the rock of a vast canyon in an effort to keep the temperature down. What started as a small network of tunnels expanded as more fugitives, criminals, expatriates, and outlaws decided to roll the dice and hide in a dying system. So that was it. That's 2 sentences in one kind of run-on sentence. But anyway, so basically just a city built in the canyons, shaded from the dangerous sunlight, sort of Adobe-style structures for outlaws to hide in until the system explodes. That's it. Very, very loose description, but it led to this concept art, which we will put up here, and which to me is, I remember when I saw this, when it came out, when it was posted like a couple of years ago, it just totally knocked me out. Like, it really captured this life and flavor and really kind of just a unique, immediately interesting place that I wanted to kind of go visit. Like, it was amazing to me. And again, like this piece was done several years ago, so the details of it, like these sort of weird little structures and stuff like that, like they'll probably change when it's actually built, but it doesn't matter. It's like it's this vibe, the spirit of the thing, like that's what really kind of sells it and makes it really, really exciting. So yeah, it was and so consequently, once this image was done, it reinvigorated a lot of my personal interest in this thing, and so I started wanting to develop it more based off of this image. So it was sort of, we had that description. That description led to this picture. This picture led to more, specialized, tailored lore about it, because it was just such, you just want to be here and see what it was like and stuff like that. So yeah, again, it was pretty great, and it's again, it sort of raised this question of, you have a vista like this with the persistent threat of that at any time this sort of massive cosmic event way beyond your control, something you can do nothing about, could theoretically happen and just wipe out all life in the system. Just led to this really interesting possibility of like the the denizens who've chosen this place as their home. It's just really, really, really interesting. So, so that is, I mean, that's Tyrol in a nutshell. I mean, again, personally, I'm really looking forward to the point where we're actually going to start building this system. Because, you know, I mean, well, we have a lot of like kind of